Welcome to where reality breaks down the craziest, deepest, and most absurd stories about life. You're on Absurdly Real.
The blizzard howled like the last breath of a dying god. Trees groaned under the weight of ice, and the sky was a merciless white void swallowing everything. Deep in the ancient forest, inside a small wooden cabin built by hands that had long forgotten hope, a man named Elias sat alone by the fire. He had come here years ago after losing his wife to a world that valued efficiency over souls. He was alone as always. His cabin was warm, stocked with chopped wood and preserved food. Outside, the world was a frozen tomb. Then he heard it. A sound so faint it could have been the wind, yet unmistakably a voice. He stood up, heart suddenly loud in his chest. He wasn't expecting visitors. No one came here. The nearest town had been evacuated 3 years earlier. He moved to the door and opened it slowly. The wind slapped his face like guilt made visible. But there, half buried in the snow, lay a single shape that defied everything he knew. She wasn't human. Elias dropped to his knees, hands digging through the freezing powder until they found soft, trembling skin. Her skin shimmered pale blue, veins glowing faintly like distant nebulae beneath translucent flesh. Long silver hair spilled across the snow like liquid starlight, and strange luminous marks pulsed gently on her neck, symbols that looked both ancient and forbidden. She was freezing. Elias didn't think. He simply acted. Lifting her, she weighed almost nothing, as if the universe itself had starved her of belonging. He kicked the door open and carried her inside. He laid her gently by the fireplace, covering her thin, beautiful frame with every blanket he owned. Her face was delicate, ethereal, marked by quiet suffering. He added wood until the fire roared. He boiled water, dragged out his emergency heater, and placed it close. Slowly, her eyes opened, bright violet irises catching the flames like shattered amethysts. Her lips moved without sound at first. Then came a whisper, cracked and ancient.
Please.
Elias blinked. She spoke English, or something close enough that his mind bridged the gap. He said,
"I've got you.
Voice rough from years of silence.
Where am I?
You're safe now."
He brought warm water and a towel, wiping frost from her face with a gentleness he had almost forgotten he possessed. Then small sips. She drank as if water itself was a miracle. "You need food," he murmured. He heated soup over the fire. The smell filled the cabin like forgiveness. She watched the pot with wide, hungry eyes that held centuries of quiet desperation. When he handed her the bowl, her fingers shook as she took it. She sipped slowly, never taking her gaze from him. Between swallows, she whispered soft words in a language that sounded like wind through crystal. But her eyes said everything: fear, hunger, cold, and the deep exhaustion of a being who had never been allowed to simply exist. "Rest," Elias said softly, adding another blanket. "You're safe now." Outside, the storm still screamed, but inside, the fire whispered of second chances. Hours passed. Elias sat in his old chair, watching her sleep. Who was she? Where had she come from? Why did the universe deliver one lost soul to a man who had given up on saving anyone, including himself? He studied the glowing marks on her neck. Were they brands of ownership? Warnings? Prayers? Then her eyes opened wide. She looked at him with something new in her gaze. No longer only fear, but wonder, curiosity, and a fragile spark of recognition. She reached out, her cold fingers brushing his hand. Elias did not pull away. In that silence, something passed between them. Trust, delicate as the first thaw after endless winter. The fire crackled. The storm continued. But the warmth inside was no longer only physical. It was the beginning of a question Elias had long buried. What does it mean to be human when the universe itself treats life as property? Morning came slowly, the world still white and silent. Elias sat awake, watching her sleep peacefully for the first time. She stirred, blinking at the wooden beams, the fire, then at him. He smiled gently. "Good morning." She touched her lips, searching for words. "Lyra," she said softly, placing a hand on her chest. Elias repeated it like a vow. "Lyra." Then he pointed to himself. "Elias."
You save.
Yes, you almost became ice.
Ice. Pain.
Lyra moved closer to the fire, holding out her delicate, glowing fingers. Her skin shimmered like light dancing underwater when touched by the flames. Beautiful, alien, undeniable. While he cooked simple eggs and bread, the smell drawing her wide-eyed wonder, Elias felt the weight of old philosophies settle on him. This being had fled a society that saw warmth as weakness. And here he was, a broken man, giving it freely. Was this folly, or the only moral act still possible in a cold universe? After breakfast, Lyra touched the wooden walls, then his coat hanging on the hook. She lifted it and placed it gently around his shoulders in silent reciprocity. Then she laid her small hand over his heart.
Whoa. You give fire not just to body, to soul.
Elias swallowed hard. He had spent years arguing that morality was relative. Now, one refugee was proving it absolute through a single touch. That evening, glowing symbols appeared in the snow outside the cabin. Warm, protective rooms.
Mark of safe home, only drawn for protectors.
She looked at him with soft eyes. "You are now." Elias shook his head.
I'm just a man who couldn't look away.
But her gaze said he had become something far greater. Living proof that one act of kindness could defy an entire empire. Days blurred into quiet rituals of care. Lyra stayed close, often sitting at his feet by the fire, her head occasionally resting against his knee. The cabin no longer felt like exile. It felt like the only place in the universe where two lonely souls had chosen each other. And she brought out the marriage stone, a single glowing crystal pulsing with soft blue light. Lyra placed it on the table between them.
In my culture, when a lost is saved by one who gives warmth without claiming ownership, the bond is offered, not as possession, as equal hearts. I choose you, Elias, if you will have me.
Elias stepped back, mind spinning with centuries of human ethics and his own grief.
Lyra, I don't know your laws, and I barely know my own anymore. But I know this, you are not property. You are a person. And I will not let anyone take you away.
She stepped closer and pressed her forehead gently to his chest.
Then let me stay. Not let's, but as yours.
Sooner or later, they will find it, and their search will lead them here. By that time, we must be ready.